Did you meet Kim Jong-un?
Well, as soon as this was brought to my attention, I certainly made some changes.
Out here sounding like me lying to my mama at 7 years old. Are those cookies under your bed? I'm glad you brought that to my attention. Hi, welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Thank you for joining me, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. It all started as an uproar over a dog named Cricket.
South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem released a new book. The Guardian got its hands on a copy, and the outlet is flagging a section in which she describes killing her dog named Cricket.
I did a whole video about that. The link is in the bio. But what started as an uproar over a dog named Cricket is now ballooned into a full-fledged career killer for Kristi Noem.
I have 4 rescues, and I have a puppy. I got to tell you, what she's done is she's sabotaged herself, whether or not it was to, buttress what was coming down the road. But she also managed to unite the right and the left, because America, if nothing else, we are dog lovers. And don't tell me you shot a pup because it wasn't used to hunting. Maybe you're not a good teacher. Yeah. Maybe there's a problem. And this whole thing with the chickens, were the chickens dead? Was your dog on their property? Should you have had your dog on a leash? Should your farm have been fenced? I could go on and on because I love dogs.
I mean, when you lose Janine Pirro, it is over. She wakes up every day with the express purpose to say things that make you think, she was a judge?
Don't you ever accuse me. Wait a minute. I listen to you. You listen to me. Sitting on your butt with your friends, pontificating. Pervert, I'm talking to you. Who has a drug problem, an alcohol problem? Just the other day, the president talked or was hoping. Who likes to drive drunk?
And even she wasn't on board. Now, most people would have said, you know what, that's it. I'm just going to go and retire to my ranch in the Dakotas, in between the chickens and the gravel pit. But South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem decided she needed to go on a press tour. And as we do, if you want more, we'll give you more.
So you write about lessons learned in leadership, and you bring up some specific incidents I want to ask you about. You talk about meeting some world leaders, and one specific one, quote, I remember when I met with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, I'm sure he underestimated me, having no clue about my experience staring down little tyrants. I've been a children's pastor after all. Did you meet Kim Jong-un?
Well, as soon as this was brought to my attention, I certainly made some changes and looked at this passage, and I've met with many, many world leaders. I've traveled around the world.
We didn't ask you about meeting with many, many world leaders or traveling around the world. We asked you if you met with Kim Jong-un, and that's a yes or no question.
As soon as it was brought to my attention, we went forward and have made some edits. So I'm glad that this book is being released in a couple of days and that those edits will be in place and that people will have the updated version.
You go with as soon as it was brought to my attention, as if we were just going to glaze past the fact that something is in your book that hadn't been brought to your attention. Is the entire book a work of fiction written by somebody else who's never actually met you? I need to know why there's a portion in your book that needed to be brought to your attention. Oh, that was slick, wasn't it? Yeah, you think you slick. Out here sounding like me lying to my mama at 7 years old. Are those cookies under your bed? I'm glad you brought that to my attention.
So you did not meet with Kim Jong-un. That's what you're saying.
I met with many, many world leaders.
That is a yes or no question. That is a yes or no question. I gotta try that sometime. It looks here like you have an 8-year break in your work history. What happened? I met with many, many world leaders. Yeah, I travel around the world. Anybody we know? it was a lot of them.
Many world leaders. I've traveled around the world. I think I've talked extensively in this book about my time serving in Congress, my time as governor, before governor, some of the travels that I've had. I'm not going to talk about my specific meetings with world leaders. I'm just not going to do that.
I mean, except you wrote a book about your experiences and have a specific passage about meeting a world leader that is in question. What the hell is you talking about?
This anecdote shouldn't have been in the book, and as soon as it was brought to my attention, I made sure that that was adjusted. So the book is not released until Tuesday, and so we're doing all that we can to make sure that those changes are made.
Okay, so I think I got the game. You just put a bunch of fake stories in the book to see if it flies, and you release copies prematurely, and then whatever gets called out gets pulled out the book, and then you publish the rest. Is that it?
And I'm going to continue to focus on what this book is and the blueprint that it lays out for the American citizen, on all of the things in the background and stories of my life, but also what I think that needs to be identified in politics and what's broken today. I talk about how broken the money game is.
Oh, you mean something like the estate tax story you built your career on?
How broken it is that we've got consultants that are getting rich off of elected officials, and then how fake some elected politicians are.
I'm sorry. Did you just say how fake some elected officials are?
Every single person in this country wants someone in elected office that's a human being, that doesn't say they're perfect. I take responsibility for that being in the book, and as soon as it was brought to my attention, I asked for it to be changed. So I'm glad that the release date is in a couple of days, and we're excited to talk to America about my new book, No Going Back.
That was bad. That was bad. You know what? Maybe she needs another shot. You know what? Maybe her earpiece was messed up and she couldn't hear the repeated, pointed, and specific questions that she refused to answer. You know what? Why don't she go ahead and get a do-over?
Talk first, but we want to talk about a lot of the topics that you address in the book. But the book is called No Going Back, but it sounds like the publisher, Center Street, is going back on a couple of the details.
Well done. Well done. That girl good. Yeah, that girl good.
Person. Let's talk first, but we want to talk about a lot of the topics that you address in the book. But the book is called No Going Back, but it sounds like the publisher, Center Street, is going back on a couple of the details in the book.
Oh, I don't believe so.
Specifically, when you write in the book, I remember when I met with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, I'm sure he underestimated me. That, as I understand, is now being removed from the book at your request.
Yes, when I became aware of that, we changed the content, and the future editions will be adjusted. And, I appreciate that. I've met with many, many world leaders. I've traveled around the world. I should not have put that anecdote in the book, and at my request, they have removed it.
If you were just running down a laundry list of the people that you've met and the places that you've been, and you threw in Kim Jong-un and North Korea, maybe, I might give you, you know what, you traveled a lot, you met a bunch of people, and you may have thought you met them and you didn't when you were trying to remember these things. Except you said you stared him down like a little tyrant, and maybe he had underestimated you. You tried to cut a whole promo on a North Korean dictator when you ain't even met the dude. No, you don't get, I've traveled around the world and seen a lot of people. What you think this is, the places you'll go?
That specific meeting didn't happen?
I'm saying that I'm not talking about that meeting. I'm not talking about my meetings with world leaders.
But you
there's
do
some
talk
that are
about
in the
meetings
book.
with world leaders.
There's some that are in the book, and then there's some that's not in the book.
Who raised y'all? I just need to know who raised y'all. I don't, for the life of me, understand how you go with, I've met with many different leaders and I'm not at liberty to discuss my meetings with certain leaders when you're asked about a specific leader that you talked about meeting that you're now having to remove from your book. I need to know who told you that was a suitable answer to that question. Where did they do this?
many
but
of
why
them
are there
actually.
two specific mentions of meeting Kim Jong-un and talking about him, and a specific memory? I'm sure he underestimated me, having no clue about my experience staring down little tyrants. Did you tell your ghostwriter to write that?
I've specifically have worked on policy for over 30 years. And over that time, I have traveled around the world, and I have met with leaders around the world. And that anecdote, I've asked them to change the content, and it will be removed.
It's a simple question. Did you or did you not meet with Kim Jong-un?
That's the answer that I have for you, is that it will be adjusted.
Now, mind you, there's also pushback about a Nikki Haley anecdote where she got the year wrong, and she says she was threatened by Nikki Haley, but Nikki Haley's camp says that, no, we reach out to lots of people. We have no idea what the hell she's talking about. Now, here's the thing about lying. When you sit there and tell me that I'm not at liberty to discuss my meetings with world leaders, I've traveled the world and met lots of people, and that's your response to being asked about meeting Kim Jong-un, and you're removing it from the book, I'll believe anybody else over you at this point. Like, I literally will believe if somebody came and told me that they were the real governor of South Dakota, I would have to believe them, because your credibility is negative. This couldn't possibly get any worse.
You talk multiple times about it. In fact, at the end of the book, you say the very first thing you would do if you got to the White House that was different from Joe Biden is you'd make sure Joe Biden's dog was nowhere on the grounds. Commander, say hello to Cricket. Are you doing this to try to look tough? Do you still think that you have a shot at being a VP?
First of all, I have no idea what she's being paid, but give her a raise.
Are you doing this to try to look tough? Do you still think that you have a shot at being a VP?
That was phenomenal. More questions need to be asked, followed by, did you do this because you thought it made you look tough? That is well done. That is well done. And then double down that with, do you think you still got a shot? Hell yeah.
Are you doing this to try to look tough? Do you still think that you have a shot at being a VP?
Well, number one, Joe Biden's dog has attacked 24 Secret Service people. So how many people is enough people to be attacked and dangerously hurt before you make a decision on a dog and what to do with it?
Well, he's not living at the White House
That's a question that the president should be held accountable to.
You're saying he should be shot?
That's what the president should be accountable to, is what is the number? And I would say about Republicans criticizing me, these are the same Republicans that criticized me during COVID.
Oh, you mean the COVID that you mismanaged to the point of having one of our worst mortality rates despite having less than 1 million people spread out over our 17th largest state? That COVID?
They've criticized me when I've made other decisions in South Dakota to protect my state. And my state today is extremely happy.
I know why they're happy. I know why they're happy. Because they just found out that they could ban her from portions of the state. That's why they're happy.
So you're not going
really
to retract the book?
And to prevent China.
Governor?
This book is a powerful book. It's an honest book.
And I will give her that. It is, in fact, an honest book. It is a book that honestly shows you the entire ass of MAGA and specifically Kristi Noem.
What
but if you
bothers
have
me
to
the most
retract
about
it
politicians
or
is when they're
parts
fake.
of it.
I'm not retracting anything.
Okay.
I'm not retracting anything.
All right.
No.
All right, Governor.
Absolutely. This book.
Thank you.
No, I'm not retracting anything. Just the parts of the book that y'all know I lied about. Y'all don't know there's way more in there. Y'all could have made me retract. And if you're wondering how this came to be, how somebody came to be like this, where they're talking about shooting a dog in the face and making up stories that they're having to pull from the book and claim that it's an honest book. Who acts like this?
But I also think it's a case study in where my former political party is. Look, I served with Kristi Noem. She wasn't this way 8, 9, 10 years ago. Every one of my former Republican colleagues, Jessica, has learned to be like Trump, to be cruel, to lie, to never, ever apologize, to never back down. She's trying to be like Trump.
And to think, this was all to please Donald Trump. All that work you did to please Donald Trump. Guess you're going to have to try again next time. Your career is in the gravel pit.